Hey you guys, it's Nathan back with another video. I'm going to show you today how to set up OBS, getting like a webcam hooked up, getting your audio right, and then getting your display working. So if you haven't used OBS before, this is kind of just a basic beginner's guide. But OBS has been something that has really helped me to begin and get started on YouTube, now growing a channel to nearly 2,000 subscribers, and almost all the videos are using OBS in some capacity. A lot of different software tutorials. So let me show you how I usually have my setup. So you get it installed, you get it going. You can set it up for streaming or for recording. You can do both. But really, you're going to have to watch some different settings tutorials if you're trying to eke out the best performance if you don't have a real high-end computer. But you can still do pretty well even on something that's low-end or budget. So let me show you what you can do in here. So we have, let me turn off my webcam real quick. This will make it easy. So with my webcam turned off and my selections back to normal. Okay, OBS, you've got this top part here that has like file, edit, view, scene collection, stuff like that up there. Down here you have sources, scenes, and then you have like scene transitions, and you have your audio mixer and all these controls on the side. So we're just going to walk through what they are. We'll start over here with sources. So, or we could start with scenes. We'll start with scenes. So basically, a scene is saying, okay, this is scene number 1. It's going to have me. I'm going to have my webcam turned on. I'm going to have my my display in the background here, and that's my scene. And you can click to it like scene 3. And I click to it, and there I am. I've got it all set up there. Then I can click to scene 2, and it transitions me to a different setup. This one where the webcam's turned off. Basically, you make a scene, you add all the things in that you want, and then you have your scene. And then if you want to tweak it to make another scene, you can just you can right-click and you can duplicate, and then make your adjustments. And then you can name it to say, oh yes, this is with webcam, or this is without webcam. It makes it real easy. Next to it, you have sources. Over here with sources, you're able to see in here that you've got video capture device, which is the webcam. There's a little I button that you can turn on or off. And then there's audio input, so you can turn that off. Then you can turn it back on, and then you can hear me, which is good. And then you have display capture 2. So you turn that off, and the display turns off. So there you go. But yes, when you first start out, it might be completely blank, and you'll have to go hit the plus sign and go to add an input capture, add a video capture device, add a display. So you do that. You can go to audio. You can either add something that's existing, or you can go to create new, hit OK, find it in the devices that you have hooked up. Like if I wanted to start using the microphone in my webcam, I could select that and set it up and get it playing. So you can do that. Now let me turn off one of those there, so I just have one audio device. And yeah, that can be really helpful. So you'll want to add the different sources in that you'll need, and then you have your audio mixer. This is helpful. You can see the audio input channel, and you can kind of see where it's going, and you can see this red line here showing how high it's gone. Hopefully it's not peaking, but sometimes that happens. You can go into settings here and go to advanced properties, and basically in there you're able to adjust different stuff with the mic and say, oh, is this mono or is this not mono, or how's it going to be balanced between left and right microphone. So different things in there, but it's nice because there's an adjuster slider where you're able to adjust it and change the volume based on where that slider is. And you're able to do other things like desktop audio, your mic input, and whatever audio devices you have hooked up there. You can have them either turned on or turned off. Works pretty well. So we've got that taken care of. Scene transition, that's just simply saying what's that fade going to look like between one scene to another. So if I turn my webcam off, I go to here, it's that little transition there, and you can change that transition to whatever you want. I could adjust it to 1,000 milliseconds, and it then gives a much slower transition. So You can do that. You can check out different transitions that are there. Ooh, you have a swipe. Ooh, I wonder what the swipe one looks like. Ooh, it swipes it. Interesting. So there's different ones you can try. Then over here with the controls, you have things like to start streaming. As soon as you have it set up correctly, you can hit it and it'll start streaming. Stop recording or start recording. Start virtual camera, studio mode, settings, etc. Now in settings, there's a lot in here to talk through, but basically these are things that we'll cover in just a second. Let's finish up this top row here. So you got like file. In file, what's nice is that you're able to do this remuse recordings. Basically, if you are recording in a certain format, sometimes it doesn't play super nice with your video editor, but sometimes you kind of need to run it in that way. There's a remuse section where basically you can take a file that might not be working on your video editing, you can put it in, you can remuse it, and then it should be able to work out and go to like an MP4 or something that's really simple for your computer to function with. So that's up there. Sometimes you run into that. Other things with edit, there's undo, there's transform, there's different things you can do in here. You have different views, different docs, different scenes, different tools, and you also have a help page as well. So you've got all those different things, which is good. And let's hop back to the settings over here. In settings, there's a good amount of things. Really, you should probably be watching videos about people who really know what they're talking about and looking up specifically your setup. So knowing the most about your computer hardware can be really helpful, and trying to be specific when you're searching can help as well. So let me just show you my settings and then share maybe some insights along the way. So we have general here, the theme's dark, and I haven't really adjusted or changed anything in this just opening setup. But you've got this stream setup. Now I don't have anything hooked up currently, and the reason why is because I usually erase everything after I'm done streaming something, so I don't accidentally hit the button and then start streaming. I don't stream very often. Nonetheless, if you were to go to YouTube, you can go over here, you've got that, you can go and select, oh yes, I want to use the primary YouTube ingest server. I want to connect it to my account, or I can use the stream key that's going to be given to me from YouTube or from Twitch or from whatever service I'm using. So you can definitely go along and do that. But yeah, you have to have that stuff set up first before you hit stream, or else it doesn't know where to send your stream to. For output, this is one that's important for me because I do a lot of recording. I want to make sure the recordings are really good. Now, I can always adjust this stuff, but currently I have it set up to an MP4. So that means the video is recording, and at the end of the video, then it will all be 100% saved. Some people like to record in like an FLV format, where it's actually continuously recording, and even if my computer were to shut off, I'd still have that video most likely right where it stopped. So that's just an option there, but I have it set up on this. You could rescale output to 4K. That's tempting. No, not currently. But then you have like bit rates and max bit rates, and the preset quality is max quality, and the profile is high. So it's pretty much set pretty high there, and it's set up on that NVIDIA H.264, the new encoder. So I have all that stuff running. I could go back to selecting it to a lossless format, but that does take up a lot of storage space. So until people start like complaining like, hey man, I need it to be more detailed because I can't see what you're doing, then I could do more with that. So we've got that. Audio should be just fine unless you're doing something very specific. Just leave that there. Over here on audio, really it's just saying, oh yeah, global devices, or do you want the sample rate to be higher than 48 hertz? Really just kind of leaving audio the same unless you really feel like, oh, there's something that needs to be changed. All right, video. All right, this is being recorded on a 1080p display. It's being scaled, no scaling, just staying at 1080p. It's 30 frames a second. Usually I just keep it at 30 frames a second because then that means that my computer most likely won't be ramping up its fans. and making the audio a little harder to hear there. So that's all good there. There are different hotkeys, and honestly, I should be setting up more of these hotkeys to work. Stop recording, start recording, things like that. I would love to get like an Elgato dock or DAC, but at the same time, there are certain keys that I don't usually use on my computer, and I could set them up, or even set them up on my mouse, because my mouse has a few extra buttons as well. So really, I should set this up sometime, and it wouldn't be very hard. Then in advanced, you have process priority, you have render stuff, different things. Don't really have to mess with that too much at all. So we'll just hit apply, hit OK, and we're going good. One thing that's nice is that when you have your different items inside of OBS, like your desktop screen, you're able to drag and just adjust where everything is on your stream or your recording, and you're good to go. It's really pretty simple. You click and you could drag the boxes if you've worked in Office, or if you've worked in almost any like creative program. These just dragging and snapping should be pretty familiar to you. Okay, now a couple other things in here. Let's talk about webcam stuff. There is filters, and then there's properties. We're going to go to properties first. Basically, in the properties, you're able to select your webcam that you're using, and then down below, you're able to select, oh, do I want to be, if it's a 1080p webcam, do I want to be 1080p, 30 frames a second? I want the color space to be this, and things like that. Watch videos. There's people out there who love to explain this kind of stuff, and I might make videos about that in the future. But set it up where it looks good to you. There is a configure video setting where you can adjust things like the brightness if you would like, or you can adjust the contrast if you would like. But yes, there's different things you're able to adjust in there, which is really good to have that those adjustments available. Then there is a filter section. This is really fun because this is where you can add things like to set up a green screen or things like that. And I can even show you a green screen real quick, you guys. I have my green screen set up. So a nice little whoopsie. There we go. I'm gonna pull this down just a hair. Okay, so now I threw the green screen up here. I'll turn it off for just a second so you guys can see kind of what it looks like. You get your green color selected, you move around some different sliders, and usually you can get it to work pretty well, but there's always like little tweaking and things you can do to make it just right. So it's always a bit of a work in progress. Sometimes just like making it real big and something can help you get to where it needs to be. But it all depends on lighting and stuff to see how good of an effect you can end up getting. But really, stuff like that is really pretty simple to get up and running in OBS if you do it the right way. So yes, those filters really are useful. And yeah, it's just by clicking it and then looking through what you got and then adding it, and you're good to go. So OBS is a great piece of software. I've used it hundreds and hundreds of hours. The thing is, I don't do too much crazy stuff with it. Really, it's just saying, hey, I want the webcam, I want the backdrop, I want to record my audio good, and then pretty much I'm set. I don't really have too many more demands for OBS. Now, when I stream, it's really just setting up the stream correctly, and then when you're streaming, to watch this bottom right hand side, and that's where you see like, oh, am I live? Oh, I'm recording. Oh, this is my CPU usage, this is my frames. And when you're streaming, it'll show like any dropped frames. So you always have to kind of adjust your settings to whatever you think would be best. One thing for me, when I am streaming, I usually stream in 720p, and if possible, I'm able to record it at 1080p. But it's always nice to have it's set up in such a way where you're like, okay, don't want to overstress my bandwidth if I know I'm going to be pushing it. Where at my home, I'm able to push a 1080p stream and I'd be doing fine. But if I'm on the road or doing a wedding or something, every so often I have to adjust that down to 720p because I just don't have the bandwidth for it. So there's calculators and things out there for you guys if you're going to be doing a lot of streaming. But really, I think YouTube is a great option just because it's content that people are able to rewatch over and over and over again. Nonetheless, this has been hopefully pretty helpful for you guys to be able to just look at OBS, how I get it set up, how I get it working. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.